All right, so Mr. Smith has gone through the first 38 days, so you can kind of look at it as basically the first half of the semester. All right, and I think that's either the end of this week or the end. I think that's the end of next week. That's 38 days. All right, and so I look through just to show you guys this because I'm just trying to let you know where we are and where whatever. So this is his syllabus. The first stuff, I mean, that doesn't matter. This is all the stuff that's on, all the stuff that's on the beginning database stuff. So we've done all that stuff. One thing I guess I should have gone through, and it was around day 14, so it's been a while, is he had his students on that day go through a handout that he had, a guide that he had on what's called the system development life cycle. So I am going to go through that with you in just a little bit. But then he got into Entity Framework, and they did chapters 1 and 2. That's what we did. So that's, week 5. He's still in chapters 1 and 2. And that's pretty much through the end of the month. All right. So there we go. Monday, October 1st. So that's a week ago. So to make sure that we're pretty much in jive with the other class, if you look up on the screen here, for tomorrow, read chapters 3 and 5 from your book. All right, not 4. He's doing them in a different order. So we're going to go through 3 and 5 tomorrow. All right. And the other thing that Paul has done, and hey, it's on me for not sharing this stuff with you, but he has created these study guides. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to literally save all of them. And you know how I've been giving them all to you and having you just copy them? I put them on a flash drive. I'll do that today. All right. But what I want to go through is what he has in this one. And I know this one pretty well because I wrote part of it. All right. It's on team structure, metrics, and Sdlc. And there are certain things we are supposed to get across to you in this class that when you hear some of these things, for example, you might think this has nothing to do with what we've been doing. And basically it doesn't. But there are some concepts that you are supposed to be introduced to in this class. So that's what we're going to do. In this particular handout, he talked about working as teams. Okay, and again, I'm not trying to be funny here, but let's be real. The most we could probably have in this room would be 2 teams. If we had 3, one of you would be host. All right, that wouldn't really be a team. And I believe that to have a true team, you have to have at least 3 people. Because the problem is when you have 2, typically what happens is one of them is stronger than the other one. It's not always that way. But a lot of times the person who's strong just takes over and the other person just nods their head. That's not really a learning experience. It's the kind of situation where in many ways the strong become stronger. And I don't want that. So he talks about the fact that it says the average team consists of 4 to 6 people, and they have all sorts of different roles. All right. I know. I don't know if you guys knew him. Colin did. Brady Williams, who graduated last May, and with Brady, I believe right now is a business analyst that they talk about up here. Okay. I don't know how much programming he does, as opposed to I spent a year as a programmer analyst. All right, and I was either totally programming or totally being an analyst. And the reason I'm telling you this is sometimes you may or may not have heard of the term systems analyst. And in many firms, especially in bigger firms, the system analyst doesn't code. Their job is to work with the end user and to work with the programmer. They're kind of a conduit between those two, and they have to be able to talk to the programmers, but yet, that's always been the misnomer that programmers can't talk to end users because they're too nerdy. All right, and so they have to like do that too. But I have been at jobs where I've been a programmer analyst, and I hardly coded at all, and other ones where I coded more than I did analysis. All right. So they talk about some of the roles that you work with. Some of these, again, we have talked about already. A lot of times what you find is project managers, they're very strong people, and good, bad, or indifferent. When you've got a really good project manager, a lot of times what their job is, they're kind of like a supervisor. They have to do delegation and figure out who does the best job where. Okay? Database administrators, I've mentioned this term to you before. It's a great job because you can make a boatload of money with it, but you've got a lot of responsibility too. All right. Deployment engineer, well, that's not typically their only job, because unless you're constantly deploying things, all right, you're in the middle of a life cycle, the deployment engineer technically wouldn't have anything to do. All right. Graphic designers. One of the students who graduated last May, again, Colin knows her. I don't know if the rest of you do or not, but Valerie Sandbrink. Valerie had talked to me and said that she liked coding, she liked web design, but she really wanted to do graphic stuff. She was really, I don't know if she ever did or not, but she was toying with the idea of going back and getting a 4-year degree in graphic design. And then UX designer. Can one of you tell me? I asked the people this morning and no one could. Can anybody tell me what UX stands for? User experience. Yes. Okay, well, one person got it. Okay. But what we're finding out today is quite often what companies are doing is they don't care that much anymore about people being able to code. They're hiring, a lot of IT firms are hiring people with psychology degrees. They really are. Especially if you got a psychology degree where you got a computer science minor. And these people are designing friendly websites, because there's so many websites that are selling the same kind of thing that they want to get you into their site and keep you in their site. So with a lot of these user experience people, that's their jobs. All right. All right. Stakeholders, people who have a stake in the quality and features of the project. Some of these we've talked about already. Anytime you start something with a C and you're a C-level executive like this, you're pretty high up on the food chain. You're going to make pretty darn much money. All right, let's face it. We talked about project managers already. Some of this, like community manager, that's somebody who doesn't work for the company, but that's somebody who's affected by it. Last year, for this class, I don't know if I've told you or not, and again, some of you may have heard this, but last year what we did was we did a project for the St. Charles County Economic Development Center. And what it was one of the people who worked there, they didn't have they had 3 databases set up in Microsoft Access and about 10 or 12 spreadsheets. Nothing talked to anything else. No one there basically talked to anybody else there, and they kind of wanted it to be coordinated. All right. The reason I'm telling you that, what that has to do with community managers, is this woman's job at being on the Economic Development Council was she had to basically, her job was to do a lot of work where she had to make sure she had contacts for all of the businesses in the area. They set up business incubators for people in the area. She had to check the progress of the incubator. These people had to hire a certain number of people during the life of the incubator and had to make a certain amount of money in order to basically be able to do a lot of the renting of the incubator and the like for free. Okay? All right. All right. It says your customers are the people who pay for the product with money. Your end users are the people who use the product on a regular basis and are generally not involved in the development of the product. That is true, but when he talks about the end users, those are typically the people that you want to talk to. Because if you've got a really great product and you've done a ton of work on it, but the end user doesn't like it, guess what? You have a piss poor product. That's just the way that it works. All right, so he breaks it down. The business team is considered with the financial outlook of the product. Their main goals are to increase profits, get more customers, and keep existing customers happy. The development team are the people who write the code and develop the system. All right. They most often have absolutely no contact whatsoever with the business team. All right, no direct contact. The quality team is concerned with improving the quality of the product. All right, always tweaking it, always trying to make it better. The user experience design and graphic design team, as it says, they want to know how the user interacts with the system. What can they do to make it better? Now, this is the part, for lack of better words, that we'll say is important. All right, or the more important part. They talk here about the systems development life cycle. Back when I was your age doing this stuff, all right, what it was you would have somebody would create for you some requirements. All right, then you would analyze those requirements. Then you would come up with one or more design plans. Then you would actually work the design plans. So you decide on one and you do the work. Then you'd implement it. And then you'd maintain. And that was pretty much what happened. But the idea is they call that a waterfall because one would basically cascade into the other one. And unlike a waterfall, I've never heard of a waterfall that can go upward. But in here, you might be halfway through the process and decide you've got to back up. And some stuff you did previously you didn't do well, or something has changed. All right. Again, I think I have told you some of my own, for lack of better words, we'll say horror stories. When I was working for AT&T Bell Labs, we were 6 weeks away from cutting over a $20 million project. And I remember this because I was at the meeting. And we're at this meeting, and this person from one of the telephone operating companies said, "What about this?" And they brought up something they had never asked for before. They had never brought it up. And my boss is like, "What do you mean, what about this? You never asked for that." "Oh, no, we need that." And he's like, "We're 6 weeks away from cutover, and there's no way we can give you that." He goes, "Then we don't want your product." And he said, "You've already paid us $5 million of the $20 million. He said, "We'll eat that $5 million. If you can't get it for us, we don't want it." And they may have even had to lay off some of us. I mean, that's how bad it was. So we said, "We'll give it to you, but we're going to be 6 to 8 weeks late." And we were. They were still happy. All right. So we had to sit there and jump back and forth. So here's what the way that he has shown it. I'm not, again, requirements, design, implementation, testing, deployment, and maintenance. They're not the exact same terms as the ones I gave you, but again, the ideas are the same. And in an ideal world, one will flow into the other, and you won't have to go backwards. In other words, your initial requirements won't change. You know what? That isn't life. People will always come up and say, "We forgot this. Can you also add this?" etc. I mean, it just happens. That's human nature. So he defines here requirement gathering and analysis. All requirements are gathered and documented. System design. The requirements are gathered in the first phase, are studied, and design documents are written. This design defines the overall architecture of a system. I have often said that when you go through systems design, you typically come up with 3 plans. This isn't, anything that I created and it's like, "Oh, wow, is that cool?" But you create three plans that I typically refer to as the Volkswagen, the Buick, and the Cadillac. The Volkswagen's the cheapest, but it's got the least number of features. So management wants that solution because it's cheap. Well, the Cadillac has got the most features, and it's the most expensive. So the programmers want the Cadillac. All right? So typically they settle on the Buick. But during that design phase, they're trying to come up with, also, what if you come up with the best plan in the world? That's it. That's all you have to worry about. Then it doesn't work. So typically you come up with at least 1 or 2 contingency plans. Implementation, using the requirements in the design documentation, you build the system. But when you build it, you test it in pieces as small units. All right. Then with integration and testing, you bring the small pieces together and test to make sure that they work together. Deployment, as it says, the system can be deployed or given to customers. In a strict waterfall, this is the first time the customers see the entire system all done. And maintenance, this is the biggest problem. Most companies, they're in such a big hurry to start on their next project that they never go back and do like a review and say what worked and what didn't work. And the problem is something that didn't work that they haven't documented still doesn't work when they try it the next time. All right. So it says this waterfall model only works when all of the following conditions are met. Number one, all requirements are well documented, ambiguous, and fixed. I would even add to that, and don't change. Number two, product definition and objectives are stable. Number three, the technology is well understood and not dynamic. Yeah, nothing in the world's dynamic. Number four, ample resources with required expertise are available to support the product in each phase. And again, I'm just throwing stuff at you here, but it's stuff that's important for you to hear. All right? With most management, you're working on a project, and you discover you're not going to get it done in time, so you need more people. So most management says, good, bring in more people. So they bring in more people. Do you know what, can you think of a possible problem you'd have with bringing in more people? Well, that's kind of what it leads to, but anything else? Well, yeah, that too. But the thing is, typically the people who are the busiest, they're the ones who have to train the new people. They already don't have enough time, and now they have to train people. All right, so the product or project rather falls even further behind. All right, so as Paul says here, in reality, very few software project meets all of these requirements. It just doesn't work. So today they're moving towards an agile system. When you've got an agile system, you take that same project that you might have said, we're having this done in a year, and this is our project. You break it down into 20 or 30 mini projects. And you've got deadlines every couple weeks. Not only that, unlike the waterfall, you keep the end user, you meet with them constantly to make sure that what you're doing works. All right, the Agile Manifesto, it says, we are uncovering better ways to develop software by doing it and helping others do it. Through this work, we have come to value individuals and interactions over processes and tools, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation or renegotiation, and responding to change. That's the big thing, this. This is what Agile is all about. Something happens, you react to it right away. All right, he's got a few of these things. Let's just jump through these very quickly. Scrum, as it says, it's an agile framework for managing work with an emphasis on software development. It breaks people down into teams, and the idea is each team is given a project that can last anywhere from 2 weeks to a month. And they commonly get together. In fact, they typically have meetings every day. You never want to fall out of whack. All right? Pair programming. All right? Can somebody in here tell me what pair programming is without looking at it on the screen? Anybody know? Right. The idea is, let's say that I said today, let's pretend we had 6, and I said we're going to pair program today. I'm just going to map you up with a person next to you. Okay? So it's Monday, so Andrew's going to code all period, and basically Tony's going to tell him what to key in. All right? And Andrew can't say, no, that's dumb or whatever. He just has got to do it. And he does that for a day or two, then they switch roles. And that you constantly are doing that. All right? Well, yeah, it is, but the idea is you start to, ideally what's going to happen is whether you realize it or not, you go into a project with a mindset. This is the way it should be done. And there's no way in hell that your mindset is going to be the exact same as Andrew's. So the idea is by looking at that over 2 days, you're like, geez, I never thought about it that way. And that's what you're getting out of it, and that's what he's getting out of it. There's a couple other ones. There's Kanban. As it says, it attempts to manage work by balancing the demands with available capacity. Lean Coffee, participants gather, build an agenda, and begin talking. All right? The big problem with this, if you look up on the screen here and you look at this, this will work just fine as long as as A, you stay on task, and B, this is no joke, eventually you stop talking. All right? You start doing. I mean, yeah, we got the, I've been to meetings before. Oh man, was this a great meeting? We got so much done. And then, we got to have another meeting tomorrow on this. And pretty soon you're having meetings all the time, and you're not doing anything. Scale, Agile Framework, they're all pretty much the same type of thing. All right, so that's at least you have heard that stuff. All right, so where are we here? So like I said, what I'll do is I will go back and find all of his handouts that I didn't realize even I guess I had access to, but I'll find them and I'll put them all out there. And we are pretty much, like I said, I think at least, we're pretty much following the same kind of thing right now. So all these study guides, he's got them, basically where we are. I'll go copy all of them, and by the time we go on break today, or you come back from break, we'll have a good start on getting all those for you. I gave you all of the prezzies, all right, so it's not like you're totally behind here or anything. Yeah. All right, so like I mentioned, that brought us through about day 14. And as we go on, you're going to realize there's a lot more stuff in here that we've done as opposed to stuff we haven't done. All right, chapters 1 and 2 of Naylor, that's what he did the whole week there. Talked about that team structure stuff that I've just mentioned to you. All right, that brings us up to the 24th of September, which was a couple weeks ago. All right, and that's when he started going into what an MVC application was. Now, to my knowledge, they, meaning his classes, they did not go over the project like we did, that getting started with ASP.NET MVC 5. All right? He's got it here. It says read by the end, and I don't know if he did anything with it or not. I have no clue. I've got to take a look at his labs to see if we are behind on labs. We might be one off on labs. I think we've done the first 5, and he's got a 6th one in here that I didn't see. All right, and that brought us to here, Tuesday. Notice chapters 3 and 5, read by the end. Integrating a database, so I'll get you that, and search pages. All right. Now, let me ask, is everybody caught up in here? In other words, has everybody done the C# of those 4 programs and then redone them with a controller and et cetera in the view? Has everybody done those?
I'm still redoing them.
All right. All right. So I'll make sure you get some time today. Maybe we'll just go to 2. I don't know. All right. But when you look at this, so Monday, October 8th, all right, this is what he's doing this week. So now he's going into chapter 4. All right. I'm asking you this, is it too much for me to expect that this week we can get through chapters 3, 4, and 5? That is expecting that you will read chapters 3, 4, and 5. Not that I just sit there and go over them, but the idea is that you are understanding what it is we're doing. All right? Because that'll put us right basically where his class is. Now, tomorrow, he has them doing a hands-on test on forms. No, we're not going to do that. But I see no reason, if we go through chapters 3, 4, and 5, then I see no reason that we can't have a test by the end of the week. All right? So that's the plan. We'll start going over 3 tomorrow. I don't know how long it'll take. We finish it, we go into 4. I don't know how long that'll take. We finish it, we go into 5. Or maybe I'll do it in the order he did it. All right? And in fact, it sounds like not all of you maybe, but most of you are still where you're trying to catch up from the work that you've been given. So that'll get us, if by the end of the week we've taken that test and we've gone through everything in the first 5 chapters, if you look on the screen here, that's where he is next week, is what? Chapter 6. All right? So we're totally caught up to where he is then. There's going to come a point where I may want to, I'll want to break away from what he's doing. Paul's got a lot of expertise, and he's really good talking about networking and stuff. Okay? I'm not. I'd rather go in a different direction. You'll still get this stuff. We're just going to do some of it in different ways. All right? So, like I said, I'm going to back up. Where he's got these study guides, he's got them for the first 12 weeks. I'm going to grab every one of these study guides that he's got here, even the stuff we've gone over already. I'm going to throw it on a flash drive, and I'm going to pass that around to you guys. All right. So we've already done, let's see, there's Naylor chapter 1, Naylor chapter 2, and Naylor chapter 3. We can go over those quickly tomorrow, but the getting started, no. Join syntax, no. Dates and times, no. Stored procedures, nested queries, no. So I'm going to just pick it up. Maybe I'll talk a little bit about profiling. I disagreed with some of the stuff he was doing. Sending emails through SQL, I didn't see the need to go over something like that because I don't think you're going to do it often. He disagreed with what I was saying. Okay? All right. We'll talk a little bit about some of the other stuff that's in here. But like I said, by the time that you leave today, you will have each one of these. All right? Because I'm going to print them all off right now. All right. Let's just stop it right there then.